Hello, everybody. As is the usual custom, to read the Tochacha, the lengthy rebuke of Am Yisrael in the event that in the future years they would sin, to read it on the penultimate Shabbos prior to Rosh Hashanah, and also the penultimate Shabbat prior to Chag HaShavuot. This Shabbat, in Parshat Bechukotai, we read the Tochacha. At the end of the Tochacha, we are told, Va'af gam zot biotam be'eretz oivehem, lo ma'astim v'lo ga'altim l'chalotam. And even as the Jewish people might find themselves in the land of their enemy, I have not shown them a sense of rejection and disdain to the point of having destroyed them. The Baal Torah Tamima, Rav Baruch Halevi Epstein, in his commentary on Chumash, in his Sefer Tosefet Bracha, raises the question, since we are talking about God foreseeing the eventuality that Am Yisrael might be sent into Galut, he should have really expressed himself in the future tense and said, Lo em asem v'lo eg alem. Why does he put it that I did not show them disdain or disgust in the past tense rather than in the future tense? Before we get to the answer of the Tosefet Bracha himself, we ought to take a look at a very classic piece from the Sefer Meshech Chachma of Rav Meir Simcha of Devinsk. This piece I call classic because many see in it, and we're not going to focus on this aspect so much, many see in this classic piece that the Meshech Chachma, who himself died in 1926, more than 6 years prior to the Nazi rise to power in Germany, Yimach Shemam V'Zichram, that the Meshech Chachma was foreseeing the advent of the Nazi Party and all of the terror and destruction and murder that they brought to Am Yisrael. The Meshech Chachma basically does a survey of Jewish history. And he points out that when Am Yisrael would be sent into Galut, they would eventually come without great knowledge in Torah, but would dedicate themselves to the study of Torah and would acclimate to their foreign surroundings to the point where they would feel at home. It's in that context that people think he was foreseeing the Shoah, as he mentioned as an example, that people will think that Berlin is Yerushalayim. Anyway, as they grow in Torah and lead full Jewish lives in the Galut, what will happen is that at some point, a future generation wanting to challenge their elders, not taking the word of their elders as fact, would come to actually distance themselves from Torah. And that would lead to God's reaction of saying, fine, I'm going to now send you into a different galut, where once again you won't feel so comfortable and you will feel like you are in a strange land and not at home. And in fact, the Meshech Chachma says you can expect a period of 100 to 200 years where things seem to be going okay in each of the galuyot, in each of the exiles. He goes on to say, as a result, we have to understand that when God sends us into a new place of exile, while you could call it punishment, at the end of the day, it is to vouchsafe the continued existence of the Jewish people, that they start over and rededicate themselves as strangers in a foreign land to pursuing their unique Jewish identity. And so too, the Tosefet Bracha says there are two types of mi'us or gi'ul, of disdain. For example, if someone has a terribly upset stomach, the idea of eating food is abhorrent to him. Ugh, I can't stand to eat anything now. I don't even want to look at food. But that's a transient feeling. Once the person's stomach settles down and he's feeling better, then he returns to the norm of enjoying particular foods. That is a mi'us arai. It's temporary. But there could also be a mi'us kavoa. There are certain things that just the mere thought of them are so disgusting that no matter when, where, and how a person conjures up said image, it will always be mi'us. It will be gol nefesh, something that they want to stay far away from under any and all circumstances. Says the Meshech Chochmah, the Torah puts the concept of mi'us and gi'ul in the past tense. God's saying, whenever I sent you into galut, it was not to finish you off. On the contrary, it was so that you could recover from it, that you could regenerate along the lines of what the Meshech Chochmah said. And then the Tosefet Bracha ends with a really beautiful insight. We all know the pasuk from Amos that is paraphrased in our benching during Chag HaSukkot. In Amos it says, Bayom Ahu Akim et Sukkat David Hanofalet. In that day, the day of the ultimate Geula, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will establish and re-erect the fallen tabernacle of David. Many times we have been like the Sukkat David Hanofalet, but it was only for the purpose of rising once again. And here comes the brilliant insight of the Tosefet Bracha. Akim is an acronym for 4 books of the Bible that inexplicably end on a downer. And all 4 of those books are read by us during the course of the Jewish year. Akim, Aleph, Kuf, Yud, Mem, stands for Eicha, Kohelet, Yeshayahu, and Malachi. In every single instance, the final pasuk is one that ends the book on a downer. In Eicha, ki im ma'os ma'astanu, katzafta aleinu ad ma'od. You were very angry with us. We don't want to end our reading of Eicha, even on the mournful night of Tisha B'Av, in such a downer. So what do? We repeat the penultimate pasuk, Hashivenu Hashem Eilecha v'nashuva chadesh yameinu kekedem, a much more optimistic and pleasant pasuk to contemplate. Same thing in Kohelet, which we read on Sukkot. It says in the last pasuk, Ki et kol ma'asei ha'elokim yavi b'mishpat, and it ends with Im Tov ve'im Ra. Al kol ne'elam Im Tov ve'im Ra. To end with the word Ra. So what do? We repeat at the end of our reading of Kohelet its penultimate pasuk. Ki et kol ma'asei Sof davar hakol nishma ha'elokim et ha'elokim yirav et mitzvotav shemar ki zeh kol ha'adam. Much better way to end our public reading of Kohelet. The exact same thing with Yeshayahu in the Haftorah that we read on Shabbat Rosh Chodesh. What is the final pasuk? V'yatzu v'ra'u b'figrei ha'anashim ha'posh'im bi ki tolatam lo tamut v'isham lo tichbeh yiyu dei ra'on l'chol basar. They will be something that is abhorrent and disgusting in the eyes of everyone. What do? At the end of the Haftarah, we go back one pasuk and we read V'haya midei chodesh b'chodsho u'midei Shabbat b'Shabbato yavo kol basar l'ishtachavot lefanai Amar Hashem. Much better way, a much happier thought to conjure as we conclude our reading of Haftarat Shabbat Rosh Chodesh. And lastly, the Mem, Malachi, whose reading is the Haftorah of Shabbat Hagadol. What does it say? Veheshiv leiv avot al banim, v'leiv banim al avotam, pen avo v'hiketi et kol haaretz cherem, lest I come and basically wipe out the earth. A very negative end to the Sefer Haftorah. What do? Hinei anochi sholeach lachem et Eliyah Navi lifnei bo yom Hashem hagadol v'hanora, which is the next to last pasuk in Malachi. So that's what we do because we don't want to end on a downer. But ask the Tosefet Bracha, but why does the book itself end in such a fashion? Why didn't it end on something more pleasant, more optimistic, more hopeful, more upbeat? And the answer is because you don't have to understand these psukim of the so-called downers as totally negative. It is the punishment of Hashem. It is the fact that he deals with us, midah keneged midah, that keeps us on the straight and narrow and ensures that we will not be wiped out. And as the Meshech Chochmah says in his piece, in fact, that is the most amazing thing, is how the Jewish people have survived until this very day. It's because God takes us from Galut to Galut to help refine us so that we can come back to Torah and not be wiped out as every other nation. This is very important for us during these very concerning days where we have suffered so many losses, where the world opinion, as never before, has been set against the state of Israel. And even on a personal level, when a person goes through tragedy and dark days and questionable thoughts, he should know that whatever HaKadosh Baruch Hu puts him through is for the ultimate betterment of the individual. And from all of this, we emerge stronger, healthier, more spiritually enriched. Me'az yatsa matok. Halavai that we should witness this b'mehera b'yameinu. Shabbat shalom.